and it's just a gift that always really no energy. Hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 7 All Winners Edition, Episode 7. And before we get started, I need to send some shout-outs. My first shout-out is to William Bruce, who's celebrating his 60th next month, and to his husband, Alan, who celebrated his 60th last month. Well done, boys. Have a great party. And seriously, happy Pride if you're out there, just saying. I also need to thank my tipperdoos. Jennifer Valier sent me a tipperdoo and another donation to Rainbow Railroad via my Linktree. Thanks so much again, Jennifer. Speaking of Linktree, Sue Morris and Alan Douglas also sent me tipperdoos through my Linktree, which is on my Instagram profile and possibly my Twitter. I'm really not sure. Also, big thank yous to Timothy Edwards, Tim Ellard, Darren Fancy, and my tipperdoo boyfriend, Vito. You're all fabulous, and I can't thank you enough, seriously. If you'd like to help support me and my channel with a tipperdoo, well, the link is down below in the description box. I also have a fabulous Redbubble model to show off. No, that is not the Divine Miss M. It is my wig whisperer, Denise Cherneau, dolled up in another one of her many impersonations, Bette Midler, wearing one of her own illustrations on a fabulous tee. It's the Candy Witch, which you can get on my Redbubble store, I'm just saying. Looking at Denise, both above and below the chin line, I'm just saying. I know it sounds dirty. I love you, Dee. If you'd like to get yourself some Wilma merch, the link to my Redbubble store is in the description box down below as well. I'm just saying. Now, Jorge, drink me. Oh, look. Ooh, what is this, a blender drink? For Pride? Ooh, I'm excited. Should I be worried? Strawberry banana rummy goodness. I can't. Woo! I don't know. There's cream in there. Mama likes the cream. Okay, so we kicked this episode off with the walls of the workroom starting to crumble. Evie was crowing about going from no legendary legend stars to 2 legendary legend stars, just like that. Thanks, Roger. Of course, I felt that Evie was flirting with disaster when she joked about soon being included in the Block Club. Careful what you wish for, Evie. That's too much. Speaking of the Block Club, its 2-time inductee and current queen, Jinx Monsoon, shuffled into the room. She was not pleased, but she also wasn't too surprised. She knew that Viv would want a little payback, and rightly so. But that still didn't mean she wasn't irritated. Vivi wasn't there for it. If Jinx was irritated, imagine how she felt getting bilked out of a legendary legend star herself. I have to say, good for Jinx to point out that both she and Trinity had also missed out of a legendary legend star because they were blocked. But I think Jinx's bigger point was because they were on the same team, Jinx didn't think Vivi would block her. To Jinx's credit, she did just say a few episodes ago that she wouldn't block a teammate. Clearly, the bloom was off the rose because Vivi was laser focused on that $200,000, and it looked like she'd reached that point in the game where all bets were off. It was every queen for themselves. That must have lit Jinx's pilot light because, quick as you like, she pointed out that she was the first queen to win 3 challenges and the first queen to get 2 stars. She wasn't worried about anyone and proved it by taking a step too far, if you ask me, and promising to block the Viv the minute she got the chance. Way to put an even bigger target on your back, Jinx. Seriously. Viv tried to spin that bit of news by saying, from now on, anyone who gets blocked should take it as a compliment. From the silence of the room, that was easier said than done. By the way, Silence of the Room was the name of my Fringe play. The next day, as the queens braced themselves for whatever was next, Monet was pining for home and her hairless sphinx, Miss Colleen. I'm not saying I don't like cats like Miss Colleen. They just look so evil. Like they want to eat your face to get at your soul. If I had one in my house, it would be constantly scaring the crap out of me every time I enter a room. Like, As for the mood in the workroom, Shea, Trinity, and Monet were starting to get frustrated by the fact that they had only one legendary legend star each. All three of them seemed to peak early by getting that first one so quickly, and now they all seem to be fading into the background. And that in itself has to say something about how good everyone is this season. And that's the story I would tell. Thankfully, before any of them could get too down about their situations, Ru showed up looking like she just got off a beach in Boca with this week's Maxi Challenge. And what was that Maxi Challenge, you ask? The queens had to create a legendary legend look inspired by one of Ru's iconic outfits designed by Emmy Award-winning Zaldi. For those of you who don't know, even though Zaldi's Emmy wins are only for RuPaul's Drag Race, he is also the head designer for Gwen Stefani's Lamb line and designed costumes for Michael Jackson's This Is It tour, Lady Gaga's Monster Ball, and even Britney Spears' Femme Fatale tour. As well as all that, he's designed costumes for Cirque du Soleil. Makes you wonder why so much of what he designs for Ru is so hit and miss. Come on, I'm not the only one thinking it, am I? There were 8 outfits to choose from, and since Vivi won last week's lip sync, well, she got to pick hers first. She went with one of my favorites, Ru's gold retro look from Season 7, Episode 5's Despy Awards. Good choice. Then, Vivi got to pick the queen to go next. She chose Trinity. Trinity chose Ru's Season 8 promo look, a baby blue baby doll with boots that go all the way up to there. You heard me. Trinity then picked her twinner Monet to go next. Monet picked Ru's face Kini look from Season 10, Episode 4. Not the one I would have picked, but then these queens are creating a look they're being inspired by, not the actual look itself, so who's to say what was calling Monet's name? Monet picked Shea to be inspired next, and she picked Ru's gorgeous pink leopard gown from Season 5's Sugar Ball. This is another one of my fave looks from Ru. Seriously. I would have picked that one too. Shea picked Jada to go next, and she picked that gorgeous gold ensemble that Ru wore to the VH1 Divas 2000 tribute to Diana Ross. Of course she did. Jada then picked Evie to choose next, and Evie picked Ru's Supermodel of the World look, much to Roger's chagrin. She'd been eyeing that little number right from the get-go and wasn't too happy about Evie snapping it up. I have to admit, as much as I love Supermodel and as revolutionary as that video was, I never liked this look. I don't know why. The colors are fabulous. Evie picked Jinx to go next, and Jinx picked Ru's promo look for Drag Race Down Under. I'm assuming she chose it because it was simple and there wasn't much to it. Go with your strengths, Jinxie! Seriously. And that left Roger with Ru's promo look from Season 7. Although it wasn't Roger's first choice, it wasn't a bad look, and Roger took it like a champ, saying that she was left this one because the other queens are threatened. She could be right. Roger's been burning up that catwalk. Seriously. As the queens got down to designing, Trinity was already telling Roger about her vision of bows and volume. Roger was so gagged at how on top of this challenge Trinity was, she decided to sabotage her with a little gaslighting. Now there's the Roger I remember. Do you see it now? I feel like the two queens who had the best fabric also were the hardest fabrics to sew. Jada's stunning gold paillettes on that gold netting was a showstopper for sure, but she was going to have to take her time running that fabric through the sewing machine, or she could end up breaking all the needles. I've been there. As much as that was on Jada's mind, the fact that she was in a tie with Jinx and Evie was urging her to push for a third legendary legend star because, as she said, 2 stars just ain't gonna cut it. Seriously. She's gonna win, watch. The other queen who had fussy fabric, if you ask me, was the Vivi. That gold lame can snag and pucker, and because it's shiny, it highlights every flaw. But, like Jada, she seemed to be taking her time and focusing on the details. Roger was either inspired by the fire she was feeling from, I still don't know where, or taking her frustrations out on the fact that she had less legendary legend stars than Evie now on that poor fabric. Either way, Roger looked like she was ready to design the hell out of this challenge by ripping the hell out of that fabric, I'm just saying. Shea was worried about not being able to snatch that second Legendary Legend star too. She'd been so close, but the fact that every queen there is a winner means she's going to have to make her move here on her own turf. A sewing challenge. Come on, Shea. Seriously. I have to tell you, I love that Jinx asked Vivi if she would have still blocked her if she'd known it had been a sewing challenge. Vivi's immediate no proved it was a wasted block. Jinx wasn't going to win a Legendary Legend star on a sewing challenge, so if she was going to have to be blocked, this was the challenge for it. As far as Jinx was concerned, she had nothing to lose, so she was going to try to turn her sewing reputation around. It's good to have dreams. Ru popped by, as is her wont, to check on the queens. Evie was first and almost got kicked off the show when she told Ru Supermodel came out the year she was born, 1992. Hell, I almost slapped her. As for her reimagining of Ru's classic look, Ru seemed pleased with Evie's orange Hakama pants. Well, I was impressed. Pants are not easy is all I'm saying. Evie just hoped it was enough for a third Legendary Legend star. Damn it, Roger, seriously. Monet and the Face Kini were next. Monet told Ru that she picked this look because that was the first time she had ever lip-synced for her life. Personally, I would have picked a look that wasn't so tied to my almost going home. Just me. Shea gushed over how Ru's image in the 90s transformed her life. Ru gushed over the look Shea picked, the pink leopard, because Ru wore it when Bob Mackie was a judge. Season 5, not the Season 1 premiere. I liked that Shea wasn't afraid of the idea of having to paint the leopard print on the fabric, but she definitely seemed happier about it when Ru told her the original fabric was hand-painted too. Trust your instincts, Shea! Seriously. Roger was next and admitted to Ru that her first choice would have been her supermodel look, but that the Born Naked promo was in her top 3. Roger talked about creating tone with texture and how she hoped her reputation in the sewing challenge would help get her a second Legendary Legend star. Me too. It'd be a shame if the closest Roger got to a second Legendary Legend star was the one she gave away to Miss Audley. Seriously. After Ru's visit, the queens forged onward. Jinx seemed to be having a better time of it. Well, that is, until she tried to put her outfit on. She'd spent all this time gluing stuff to fabric, but it wasn't stretched over the Judy, so she had to start again. Jinx loved that. Evie seemed to be the first one with an almost finished garment. Her big pants. I have to say, they were stunning. The hem looked good, the proportions were right. The only thing that was left to do was hide those big orange pants before JBC nabs him for his next bus ride. The odd thing about this Maxi challenge was that Shea was worried about having a finished garment for the runway. That's never happened. I mean, it was clear that she'd spent way too much time painting that leopard print on her fabric. But I have to say, I don't remember Shea ever being worried about finishing a sewing challenge before. Hell, I was starting to worry. When Elimination Day reared its judgy head, Jinx was actually feeling pretty good about her runway look. Mind you, compared to some of the things she'd made in the past, that doesn't mean that much, I'm just going to say. Jada was another queen who was feeling her runway look. So was Trinity, who had to get a closer look at it. Nosy. Speaking of Trinity, without a blink of an eye or a pause for breath, the minute she had her runway look sorted, she immediately started helping Shea sew her ruffles. In fact, she helped a lot of the queens finish their looks. As generous as she was with her time, it was also an investment for Trinity against the possibility of being blocked. Good for her, seriously. Speaking of being blocked, I feel like Roger was experiencing a blockage creatively. She had me worried about her Thunderdome Dreamcatcher. Seriously, Fingerdoo's crossed and it looks better on, I'm just saying. I wasn't the only one questioning Roger's look. Trinity called it a nightmare catcher as she and Monet judged the rest of the room, and from the looks of some of these runways, the couture was too close to call. So they then discussed who they'd block if they won the lip sync. Monet would block Evie or Jinx, while Trinity had her eye on Raja or Evie. Just saying. Either way, they both obviously thought Evie was becoming a threat, something both Evie and Jada were sensing from the room as they got themselves together. Speaking of getting themselves together, suddenly, Trinity had a pair of custom opera gloves with a tulle ruffle trim. God, as helpful as she is, I think some of these queens should start thinking about giving Trinity a block. Seriously. And then it was time for the runway. I loved Ru's dress. Just not in that fabric. I don't know if it was the pink velvet or the color of the nude panel down the front. I just thought it kind of looked cheap. Sorry about it. Personally, I'd like to see it in pink leatherette. Mostly because that was my drag queen name in high school. Michelle looked peachy in her petite leopard print top. Carson's geometric sequins were sharp. See what I did there? And joining them on the judges panel this week, the iconic, the legendary, the effervescent Betsy Johnson. God, I love her. Category is Legendary Legend Look. First down the catwalk was Evie. I have to say, I was pretty impressed by this look. It's not something I would expect from her, yet it screams Evie oddly. Nothing left but to give it a Fingerdoo. Seriously, those pants are perfection. I just love the Vivi's interpretation of Ru's Despy look. Although she had stayed pretty true to the original design, Vivi created a whole new skirt for the look, and I loved it. Fingerdoo for Vivi. Shay's reimagining of Ru's sugar ball gown was a letdown to me at first. It kind of looked like she ran out of time to do more, but what she did get done was super cute, so I had to give her a Fingerdoo. I just wish those pink tights had been black to really feature that pink fabric. No, I will say I was very impressed that Shay called out Trinity for her help in front of the judges. Let's see if that makes up for Shay blocking Trinity on episode 1. I bet it doesn't. I have to say, Trinity's reinvention of Ru's season 8 promo look was just amazing. She even got rhinestones glued on it. Seriously, this is how queens need to bring it for these sewing challenges. Seriously. Fingerdoo for Trinity. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I didn't like Roger's runway. As a reinterpretation of Ru's Born Naked promo look, I thought it was interesting. I feel like it would have been better in a photo than on the runway. All that work she did with the sculptural element off the back was a distraction to me. If her outfit hadn't had any of that, I know I would have liked it more. No? Still, I gave her a Fingerdoo. Okay, I'm not going to lie and say I love Jinx's runway, but I sure didn't hate it. And let's be honest, the fact that Jinx made this by herself is amazing. That's why I'm giving her a Fingerdoo. Oh, don't get me wrong. She's still not winning this challenge. Seriously. The second best look of the night, and it's only second because it was later on the runway, was Jada Essence Hall. This gold number was stunning. The style was gorgeous. The cutouts at the hip were inspired. I even liked that little welcome mat she was carrying. It wasn't a welcome mat? Oh, it was a wrap? Well, seriously. If Jada wanted to sell that as a wrap, she needed to add a couple more feet to it, if you ask me. Still, I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Last but not least was Monet in her face bikini. And can I just say, that bodysuit was divine. The fit was pure perfection. The only thing I'm not a big fan of was the hat. Not that it looked bad. I think her look needed that height, but it still just looked kind of flimsy. Oh, I still gave her a Fingerdoo. Don't get it twisted. Back in the Untucked Lounge, after the queens cheered each other for another design challenge well done, Shay got pointed out for her flawless face, and the Viv was also praised for her runway look. But the big discussion was Roger. The queens had all seemed to be confused by her outfit while it was on the mannequin, but said they liked it better on her. Liars. Trinity got praised for all the help she gave the queens who needed it. Again, I love that Jada said Trinity's drag daughters are some lucky queens. I'll second that. I also loved what Trinity said about helping others. Even though they're in a competition, they're in this together. Of course, that doesn't mean she's against tripping a queen on her way to the runway. Good. So she's not a complete idiot. Here's to Trinity. Trip those queens. As far as who was in the top, I think it was unanimous that it was Trinity and Jada's week. But more importantly, the queens discussed who had stars and who had blocks. Both Evie and Jada now had 2 stars and no blocks, which seemed to catch all the queens' attention. Someone else who got a touch of the side-eye was Jinx, who, although blocked twice now, had 4 challenge wins in total. I guess with 4 episodes to go, the queen's kumbaya moment was starting to wane. I don't know why. Maybe it was to deflect attention off herself, but it didn't work. Jada asked the queens who they thought was the biggest competition. Jada kicked it off by picking Trinity, Vivi, and Jinx, but quick as you like, Trinity called Jada out as competition as well she should. Trinity also called out Monet, Shay, and Roger as being the most consistent queens of the competition. Mind you, being consistent hasn't been their friend so far. Thankfully, a slightly damaged Betsy Johnson dropped by for a visit. Poor thing. She twisted her ankle doing her splits on the catwalk. What is it with the drag race stage and personal injuries? Could you imagine if Betsy sued? Seriously. I love me some Betsy Johnson, I always have. And not just for her style or her fashion, but her personality is magnetic, and she has been a true blue ally to the community for as long as I've known who she was. Betsy shared with the queens how she started her career by entering a contest to get to New York, and the rest is history. But I do have to say, as much as she said luck is a great factor for success, I'm also glad that she said it still takes work and talent. So learn to sew, people! Seriously. Back on the main stage, Ru announced that this week's top 2 All-Stars were Jada Essence Hall, who now is the first queen to snag 3 Legendary Legend stars. Thanks, Jinx. What did I tell you? Just saying, she's a silent killer, y'all. Seriously. The second winner of the week was Trinity the Tuck, who now has 2 Legendary Legend stars. Of course, she could have had 3. They had to lip sync to Jessie J's I Want Love. This was a lip sync for the gods, if you ask me. They both danced the hell out of this number. Jada slid across the stage in the split, wowing the judges. Trinity did her own sliding, right up Jada's bum, if you ask me. Jada didn't bat an eye. Both queens kept serving it until the song was over, and once it was, Ru declared that Trinity won the $10,000 tip and the power to block a queen. And who did Trinity block, you ask? Well, in the workroom, she declared she'd block Evie or Jinx. Well, she wasn't lying, because she gave that platinum plunger to Evie Oddly. Bless. So, what do you think? Did the right 2 queens land in the top? Was the best queen blocked from winning any more Legendary Legend stars? And if not, who would have you have blocked? Seriously. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Seriously, these are the best 2 ways for you to support my channel, and I would really appreciate it. If you'd like to support this channel further, all the links to my Tipperdoos, Redbubble store, and Patreon page are in the description box down below. Until next week, miss me! Mwah. Seriously, Jorge. Seriously, somebody's got to block that Jada. She's going to end up with 5 stars. Watch, she's going to walk away from this competition with all the stars. Didn't I say episode 2 or 3? Like, watch Jada. She's just sitting there being fabulous. Roger's starting to crack, if you ask me. Roger's starting to, I think the competition's starting to get to her, or she's up past her bedtime, or these are more days in a row than she's usually conscious for. I don't know her story. We're not close. But she's starting to unravel a little. Not good. Shay's got to do something too. God bless her. Next week is an acting challenge, so Jinx should do well there. I would predict that Jinx will be up for another lip sync next week. just have to see. If she's not in the top 2, she'll get a block. Watch. Her or Jada. Trust me. At least she and the Vivian are off each other's backs for another week. At least. If they both win next week, then they can't block each other again. Ooh.